Hey, how's it going? I think it's around 10 o'clock at night. I think we're like, I think we're at like, I think we're August 4th or August 5th. It's Tuesday night, about 10 o'clock at night, and not too long ago, I just got out of the shower. I shaved a little bit. I did the Lincoln look, you know, a little bit of a beard, no mustache. Shaved down there too. Did my manscaping. Today was an interesting day. You know, so I went to my program today. I have these two counselors. Uh, I have these two counselors. One is like they're both really pretty. One is like one of them is like the classic like type of girl that I would fall for, and the other one not so much. And like the one that's like not so much, I'm more attracted to her than the one that I would like classically call like fall for. As far as like, oh my god, she's so hot. Like whatever. Whatever. And so today this counselor like I I I saw her on the street when I was coming in, and she was walking pretty fast. She was walking ahead of me, and I was enjoying a coffee and a cigarette while I was walking. And I got into the group, and she looks really good. She's got all this jewelry on and stuff, and she's got her hair back, and she looks like a princess. And I'm like, man, and she's wearing like these old school Adidas, which are like, I don't know. I thought like I love her style. Anyway, okay, so let's get into what we talked about in the group. So we did two groups today. We did um we did a money group, which was our second group, and we did I think it was like a hearing voices group. Like we talk about why we hear voices and the voices that we hear, and so basically those were the two groups. So in the voices hearing group, like what we've been doing is we've been reading stories out of this book. That the counselor has this book, and she's just photocopying stories of like individuals and case samples of people who hear voices, and what their experiences are as far as hearing voices and stuff like that. And today we didn't read anything. We watched a video, and the video we watched was a TED talk. The woman that invented dialectic behavioral therapy gave the TED talk, and she explained her experience with hearing voices. And I think it's kind of cool that we have all these people that can stand up and advocate for people like me, who would normally look like I'd normally look like out of my mind. Yeah, like I'm diagnosed schizoaffective, and I have like these hallucinations. Most of them are auditory, you know. Some are olfactory, some are visual hallucinations, whatever, but mainly auditory hallucinations that I get. But who's to say that they're hallucinations? Like if someone else was in the room, it's possible that they would hear the same thing, like they would hear it too, So that's why I don't think that it's an hallucination. I don't think it's a hallucination because I think if someone was around me, they'd get a glimpse of what I'm experiencing. I wouldn't be the only one experiencing, therefore, it's not a hallucination. But we talked about it a little bit, and we watched some videos on it, and it's really interesting. You know, I was trying to correlate the connection between dark matter and psychological symptoms like hearing voices. I was trying to express what I thought to my counselor about that basic topic, and we didn't get very far. Like she didn't know much about physics. She never heard much about like string theory or the Standard Model, and she hasn't heard much about like dark matter or like dark beings, and Lisa Randall gets into it in her book Dark Matter and the Dinosaurs, where she's like, if there is dark matter, what puts out the potential possibility that there are dark beings, And if you look it up, if you Google it or Wiki it, it basically says like, dark matter is one thing, and it has to do with cosmology, and it has to do with the universe, and it doesn't have to do with anything on Earth, and that dark beings are something that are out of a myth, and are usually categorized with like mythological beings or mythological creatures, or like some kind of ghost hunting or something like that. That there's no real correlation, and there's no evidence to prove that there are dark beings, and that they do put some kind of physical load on people on Earth, or that it has anything to do with hearing voices or psychological symptoms. So that's what we were talking about in the group today, you know. But I looked a little bit at it. I went on Gemini, the AI search engine, and I had it give me back a few paragraphs about the correlation between like string theory and consciousness, and it says something about it, but nothing that proves anything, you know. But it's interesting. It's pretty interesting. So the second group we had was a money group where we usually talk about like finances and stuff. And there were two parts to this group. We got a handout. There were two parts. So there was a part that we touched on last week, and the part that we touched on this week. So it's like, every day, Monday through Thursday, there's groups, and the groups differ every day, and they differ, from week to week. But we did like a two-part series on this. So what we first talked about was like addictions, and how addictions can hurt your finances, you know, and so we talked about, like, smoking cigarettes, and sex addiction, and alcohol addiction, and whatever else, anything, shopping addiction, gambling, anything under the rainbow, we touched on. And we tried to monotonize and like say like, okay, this is one of our addictions, and this is how much money it costs a day, a week, a month. And we tried to see how much we would save if we didn't have that addiction, and that's supposed to motivate us to kick the addiction, and to possibly have more monetary incent, for ourselves in the future, you know. And I think that's really good. I think that's really good. But I think like there's stuff missing, like as far as like, motive thought, like we didn't really touch on motive thought. And what I was thinking as far as like concerning like motive thought, like, yeah, before I'm at where I am, you know, I was working. And I've had so many jobs. I have had so many jobs where like I'm working, and I'm busy making money, and maybe I'm too busy to spend money. Like I'm so busy working that I don't have time to spend the money I'm making. And I think a lot of people are kind of put into that category where like, they work, they spend money on food or lunch or coffee, and or on transportation, and then they come home and they just, they relax and they sleep, and it's a good life. It could be a good life, you know. Right now, when I'm working, I feel like I have an endless supply of money, so that puts me in this mode where like, if I do spend, I'm not worried about overspending, because there's constantly money coming in. But now that I'm not working, I spend money, and I'm like, where'd it go? I'm out of money, and I'm looking like, how do I get more money? And I'm not working. I don't have that constant flow of money. So I'm just like, I'm in a different mode now, like, I'm used to being able to spend money and having a flow of money come in, where like I could spend a certain amount and I'll still have money coming in. And I'm not used to being in this mode right now. Well, like I spend my money and the money's gone, and now I don't know where it's going to come from, you know. And I think that's a lot of my problem. Where like I've been on this cycle. I've been on this cycle of working and making money, and then not working for a while and getting money somehow through SSI or something else, food stamps, EBT, you know, and I really have to get used. I really have to, like, it's not just about like a budget. Like a budget's great. Where like, you budget your money out for the week. Where like, if you get $100, if you get $400 a month, that's it's safe to say that you could spend roughly $100 a week. And then you monotonize, and you make a list and you budget it out, and you say, okay, this is what I spend the money on each week. This is what I spend $100 on, and you make a budget. You know, but I think there's more to it than that. Where like, I was, for a while, I was only getting like $600 from Social Security. When I first started out with Social Security, I was getting about $600 a month, and now I get about $900 a month from Social Security. And I remember when I was getting $600 a month, I never really had a problem. Like, I never really had a problem with budgeting. I never really had a problem with overspending. Where like, even like sometimes, like, I've had like these. I got girls to come over out of the Yellow Pages, where like I found an ad in the Yellow Pages for like an escort service, and I would have a girl come over from the escort service, and I'd pay her like $200 or $300 to come over, and a lot of the times we didn't do anything. We're like, well, maybe we did some stuff, but like no big deal, but I never really got attached. I never got attached. I would go through it, and the next day I'd forget all about it, and I'd move on with my life. And now I'm finding myself that I'm getting attached, because it's something that I've wanted so badly. It's something that I wanted so badly, is to have this companionship with a girl, so it's no wonder why I'm getting attached, and it's no wonder why I'm getting attached, because with Uranus, I had her over so many times where we didn't engage in anything intimate, well, in anything sexually intimate. I've had her over so many times, and then like it all led up to, these few months where all of a sudden we're super intimate, and we're rolling around in the sheets, and so it's no wonder why I got so attached to her, because I had that emotional seed planted, where we saw each other for so many months and we didn't do anything, and I wanted her so bad, and finally I got to have her, and I didn't get to just have her once. I got to have her a few times, and I loved it. It was so amazing, and I have that past with her, those few months where we didn't do anything, and that's what got me so attached. I think that's what got me so attached. Uh, so, yeah. So our two groups was this Hearing Voices group and this Money group. And the first week in the Money group, we looked at what our addictions were, and then this week in the Money group, we were looking at like I don't know now. I can't even remember now. I can't even remember now. uh, we were looking at something different today, like social networking. We were talking about social networking and social connections and social capital, and how like, who we could rely on for certain things. Like if we wanted a loan, who would we go to for a loan? Who do we know that could give us a loan? Do we know a banker that could give us a loan? Do we know a close friend that could give us a loan? Do we know a family member that could give us a loan? And these are all social connections. The banker, the family member, the friend, these are all social connections. And we said that, basically we talked about how like the more connections we have, the greater opportunity we have to accomplish things like getting a loan. So that it helps to have this social criteria in place. Friends, people of friends, families, public service workers, You know, different things like if you wanted, if you wanted to write a report and you didn't have a computer, or if you wanted to research something, where would you go? And you'd go to the library for something like that, or you'd go on Amazon and you'd buy a book and you read up about it, And so it was a nice class. It was a good group. It was a cool group, I have an appointment tomorrow at my program to talk to someone about. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about. I think I might get this person. This guy is part of some criteria where, like, I don't know, like some kind of social worker that's supposed to help with whatever I possibly need, if it's food stamps or housing or whatever. So I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. He's supposed to call me tomorrow morning to set up an interview tomorrow afternoon, and I'm gonna talk to him tomorrow afternoon, and I'm just gonna tell him, like, yeah, I need housing, like I really need housing. If you could get started on it, on like whatever applications you need. And I have a friend in the program, and he's doing the same thing with a similar worker, and so that's cool. So that's something we're doing. Uh, I went into this like a cigar store, a dispensary. I don't know today to get cigarettes, and they're selling the Labubus. Now it's been a while since I heard about these Labubus, but I first heard about them on TikTok. These guys were advertising them on TikTok. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 weeks later, I started seeing them pop up in delis and stuff like that. So they had these Labubus, and they're baby Labubus. They're really little, and they're on like a keychain, right? So they're selling them for like $5 a piece. They have other ones. They have like these like plastic glossy see-through ones that they're selling for like $8 a piece. But then they also have these, like, they're kind of plush. They're kind of soft and plush. They're also kind of hard plastic, and these are $5 a piece. Ooh, I dropped it. I gotta hold it. These babies are $5 a piece, and they also have ones for $8 a piece. They're a little different looking, and then they're also selling like Nike and Timberland keychains, and they're really cool. They're really authentic. I had gotten a Nike high top keychain for a girl one time. I think I actually have it. I have it somewhere in the house. It's in a bag that I had wanted to give to her, but she never came through, so I never gave it to her. But I have like a little Nike high top keychain, and they have these things that are similar in Nikes and Timberlands and stuff like that, but they're a little more. I don't know. They're more authentic. More authentic. They're better made, better quality, you know, and they sell these things for like $8 a piece, and they're just keychains. But I don't know. So yeah, I bought one for my mom. I bought one for myself. I bought one for my mom, and I have one in my sweatshirt that I'm thinking about giving to this girl in my program. And it's probably I'm probably gonna, like, you know, I'm probably gonna die. But I don't know, like, you know, I'll probably embarrass myself, and I'll probably embarrass her by giving her this Labubu keychain. But she's a cute girl, and you know, you gotta do things, man. You know, you can't, like, expect things to just happen to you. Oh, my back is killing me. My back is all fucked up. So This is a really long video. It's almost 20 minutes long. I'm gonna post it to YouTube, and then I'll link it to Facebook. And if anyone wants to watch it, feel free to watch it. And if anyone wants to comment, I'd love to see some comments on what you think about what I said. And I'll leave it at that. I hope everyone has a good night. It's coming up. It's going to be around 11 o'clock at night when this posts. And I hope everyone has a good night. I'll probably be up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and outside smoking a cigarette at 2 in the morning. And I think I'm going to try to calm down and sleep a little bit right now. And I'll probably wake up at around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for a little while. I'll get something to eat, and then I'll go back to sleep until I don't know, tomorrow morning. And like, I got to go to my program tomorrow. I'm hoping to leave the house at like 7:30 or something like that. And that's it. Everyone have a good night. Buenos noches. Uh, Princesa Uranus. Ti amo, baby. Ti amo, baby. Uh, I love you, baby. Even though we don't talk, and it's been 3 months since I seen you. I still have feelings for you. You know, you'll always be that girl that just totally amazed me. By your looks and by your attitude. You'll always be that girl to me. You'll always be a princess. You know, uh, you know, anything bad to say about you, I don't have anything bad to say about you. And anything that enters my head that's harsh comes from outside my thinking. And you'll always be a beautiful princess to me, and I'll always love you. you know and I might see other girls, but even if I see other girls, you'll always be in my heart. you know and I hope everyone has a good night. Peace out. Bye.